Welcome to the Unlock Wellness Podcast. I'm Dr. Casey and excited for today's guest. I'm here with Cam F. Awesome. And yes, his last name really is awesome. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that. But Cam is an amazing athlete. He is an American amateur boxer known for winning the U.S. title in 2008, 2010, 2013, and 14, and the Golden Gloves in 2009, 2011, and 13 at super heavyweight. And his story was so compelling that Netflix actually shared his journey in the Netflix original documentary Counterpunch. And it's an awesome movie. I recommend anybody to go out and watch it. It was really awesome to see what these boxers go through and what they put their bodies through. And it's amazing. But he is also the U.S. Nationals team captain and the athletic director on the USA Boxing Board of Directors. Cam does a lot of work with the youth in his community, whether it's raising funds for local youth boxing clubs or motivational speaking, but he's making a huge impact. So Cam, thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited to have you.
Wow, can I just bring you everywhere with me and then you can do my introductions? Like
hey, I'll do it.
Grocery stores, everything, even the small things. That would be great.
I'll take it. But no, I'm excited to have you and excited for you to share your story. I know we were talking a little bit before we started, but you've had a crazy ride for sure, and I'm excited for people to get to hear your story and what you've gone through.
Yeah, my story, like now that I look back at it, I'm like, oh, that was like overall, it's like pretty intense, and like looking back at it, it's like I would never want to go through all that again. But while I'm going through everything, I didn't really notice. I think I was blind to what was going on around me. Mm-hmm. And I lie to myself constantly. So, that helps me. It keeps me positive. Maybe not lie to myself. I just kind of twist things in a better light to try to find a silver lining.
Right.
What I try to do.
Well, you grew up, I know you said you grew up in Florida a little bit and you're in Kansas now. So is that when did you actually start getting interested into boxing and how did that really take off for you?
I grew up in Long Island, New York, and at probably 11th grade, summer of 11th grade, I wanted to get right for prom because I thought I was a chubby kid and I figured if I lost a lot of weight, I would get to go to prom with a certain girl, and who shall not be named. But I figured if I lost weight, we'd go to prom together because I thought that's all it took. I didn't need social skills or even to ever talk to her because I didn't. I was a very shy kid. But the only gym that was free was a boxing gym. So I just joined the gym to do boxing fitness and to lose weight. But I had no intention of fighting. But after I made my fight weight, like it was my goal to make a weight, I was like, I'll just maybe have one fight. And because I never played any school sports my entire life, never played an organized sport, it was the first time I've ever won anything. Except for the Scrabble regional championships in 6th grade.
Yeah. That's impressive.
First time I made it to Google.
Was that a real thing?
Yeah.
That's impressive. I thought you were about to say with my grandma or something like that.
oh no. It was very intense. You have to be the team. So me and another buddy, Eric Burnett, actually, don't know why I remember his name, but we played all the kids in our elementary school, and then we had to play the best in the middle school and high school. And 6th graders beat the middle school and high school kids. And then I got to go to the state championships in upstate New York. And I was super excited. It was the first time I did something like that. And I took 3rd to last place. We had no business being there. We got smashed.
That's so impressive, though. You need to add that to your bio of a Scrabble championship.
I'm very proud of that now that you mentioned it.
That's funny.
But I won my first boxing match. It was the first time I ever won anything, and I got addicted to it. And I did it because it let me break out of my shell, and it made me become a little more of a confident person. Mm-hmm. And I now I look back, I see the power of blind confidence in yourself, because I would enter the ring knowing I was the greatest boxer to ever put gloves on, to the point where I didn't mention it because I just assumed everyone kind of knew. And this is me like my second fight.
That's funny. But you
I
have to
was
have
terrible.
that. I mean, I can't imagine being a boxer, but like if you, I can't imagine being a boxer that was not confident because I mean, you would get knocked out.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Many guys, I beat many boxers just because they look on the paper and they see they're fighting me,
hmm
and they beat themselves mentally.
yeah,
I mean, uh, but I knew I was going to win because I was clearly better than everyone in the world, and I knew that. He knew that. He knew that I knew that he knew that. The judges knew that. We just had to go through the whole thing just so we can say I won. But
right.
I'm gonna win, and and I would win. And I look back, and I was just a terrible boxer. I don't know how people let me beat them, and it's probably because of confidence.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I mean, I'm sure it was cool too because you said you didn't play any sports. Just like seeing your hard work accomplish a goal, especially that quickly. I mean, and when you were talking about confidence, I mean, that just adds to the confidence so much. Seeing
Yeah,
the hard work, come to that.
yeah. I wish I would have known, and I wish there was a better way to relay this message to the youth. You can be anything you want to be when you grow up. Like I didn't realize that was real
hmm
until I was maybe 21.
What made you realize that?
I think I was like, I'd never been on a plane before I was boxing, and I started boxing at about 17, and I was like holding a giant flag in England on like walking out to the ring with the whole team behind me for the national anthem, and I was like, I I'm not the guy that's supposed to be doing that.
Right.
Like I'm the guy that doesn't talk to anyone in school and always keeps his head down and is overweight. Now I'm the heavyweight champion for America in another country holding a giant flag.
That's really cool. Was it that like gave you that drive to really want to become an Olympic athlete? Was it like that moment where you decided that you wanted that feeling like on the biggest scale ever?
Yes. There's a lot of feelings that contribute to that, but that was such a goal. I mean, it's like I've dealt with like relationship heartbreak,
hmm
but it's worse if it's like boxing.
How do you mean?
It's because you like I started in basically I think it was like 2006. So within a year I qualified for the Olympic trials, uh, and I fought in the 2008 Olympic trials with that confidence that I was going to win.
hmm
And I was getting news clips in the paper, and I was sometimes going on news stations. So I was known as a dude who was going to the Olympic trials. But to normal people, they think that's like the Olympics, right?
They don't see like they don't see like the 50 fights you have to win before you get to the qualifiers to get to the Olympics. It's crazy what you have to go through.
Yeah, they don't see any of that. And then I lost the 2008 Olympic trials, and it was embarrassing. But I was like, you know what? I've been boxing for a year and a half. I'm gonna go win nationals, and then I'm gonna go 2012. I'll go to the Olympics, and I won nationals in basically every year, uh, 8, 9, 10, 2011, and then 2012 I won the 2012 Olympic trials. Now I'm finally going to the Olympics, and then I became not the third, not the second, but the first boxer to be suspended and kicked off the Olympic team for not filling out paperwork, and that was very
Did
heartbreaking.
that? I think whenever you explained it in the documentary, it was just because there was so much going on. It was just because of confusion, right? Is that how it happened?
Yeah. So what it is, and now I can look back and say it's my fault, but when you sign up for to be on the Olympic team or the national team, you have to deal with USADA, uh, United States Anti-Doping Agency, and you have to let them know where you're going to be on the hour, every hour, uh, 24 hours a day. So think about where you're going to be Monday at 11:15 p.m.
How do you even do that? Do you fill out like an Excel spreadsheet? Like I don't understand how you even let them know.
It's very, very simple. They have this online form and you fill out the form. But again, a friend calls you and says, "Hey, let's go to the movies." And if like, let's say they show up to my house at 8 a.m., they knock on the door. 8:03, they will knock again. 8:05, they will call. Now I have 55 minutes to get back to my house.
Yeah.
Granted, If I left my phone at home, I'm screwed. If my phone's on silent, I'm screwed. If I'm working out, my phone's not on me, I'm screwed. If I'm in a pool, I'm screwed. Uh, if I'm at a Chiefs game or a sporting event and no cell phone service, I'm screwed. So I have to tell them where I'm before I go anywhere. If I go to spend a couple hours at a friend's house, I have to tell them. You have to tell them the address. If I'm going to a hotel, I have to tell them the address. I travel 300 days a year. That's hard to tell you where I'm going to be at all times.
Right.
And I had 3 misses in 18 months, which is not a lot. And it was never really a big offense. But after Lance Armstrong went on Oprah,
Hmm.
they cracked down and made examples of some athletes, and I happen to be one of them.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
that's extremely rough, especially when you work that hard. I can't imagine the feelings that you were having after that.
yeah, it was basically everyone knew I was going to the Olympics because I had won the Olympic trials, and the news, everything. Every time I go to Walmart, it's like, "Hey, champ, you ready?" And people like throwing kind of punches at me, and we're rooting you on. And then you see those same people, and they're like, "You ready for the Olympics?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm not going." And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "Well, there's a thing you saw to," and they give me that. Oh, you got caught doing dope or something like that.
Right.
Because they give you that kind of look.
I'm sure that was hard too, because I mean, you obviously know the truth, but like having to try to convince other people, I mean, that had to mean like a lot on you.
Oh yeah, I just kind of stayed inside for an entire year.
Yeah, that's
So,
awful.
yeah, it was a dark year. Gained a lot of weight and drank a lot. Was really depressed. And then at some point, I lost a bet and had to be vegan for 28 days.
What kind of bet was that?
Manny Pacquiao was fighting Timothy Bradley. Uh, and do you know who Timothy Bradley is?
No, I knew Amanda who
Exactly.
Manny is, but
Exactly. There's no way that Timothy Bradley was going to win. And Bradley's like a part-time vegan. So if Pacquiao lost, I had to do it for 28 days, and he lost. And this was during the dark time of my life. So uh, I didn't know that the diet entails sobriety. So for the first time in a very long time, I had to be sober for 28 whole days,
hmm.
and that really helped get me out of my funk. And I was losing weight and starting to feel better again and dealing with my issues instead of drinking my issues. Uh, and that kind of got me out of my slump and gave me the drive to go to 2016 Olympics, which is gonna be a long 4 years. So I'm at this point I'm the dude that lost in 2008 Olympics, went to 2000 was going to 2012 Olympics and was an idiot. So like I know when I go to boxing matches, that's like when people see me, they see me as that dude.
Right, right.
Uh,
Unless they know, actually what happened. But I'm sure that's hard though.
yeah, yeah, and some people don't like me, which I don't get.
I think
I
you're a
don't.
nice guy.
Thanks. I think you're a great judge of character.
No, I think people whenever people see other people succeeding or see somebody that has a high level of confidence, it's intimidating or maybe it's where they kind of wish they were. So it's a lot of insecurity on their part. That's probably mainly what you've had to deal with, right?
Yeah, people don't like to see happy people. I, Happy people like to see happy people.
Right.
People who aren't happy hate happy people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's unfortunate, but I mean, you have been a very, very positive role model. And I think what you're doing especially for the kids right now is amazing. And just to go back with the Netflix documentary, kind of backtrack a little bit. So did they? I, I mean, they filmed for quite a while. Did you know that was
Yeah.
their intention? Like, did Netflix come to you and be like, "Hey, we're going to film for a few years"? Like, how did that actually, work out?
Uh, there's two guys who was filming, and they kept sending me emails, but of course it's spam emails because at this point I'm like, who would want to do a story on me? There's because in my head, like I'm living it, so it's not interesting. It's like what I have to do.
Right.
So, so I thought it was spam emails. So they kept emailing me over and over, and I just kept deleting the emails. And then one day they called my gym and asked to speak to me. I was like, "Oh yeah, I got all of your emails. I deleted them all." And they was like they asked to fly me out to New York to see if they can film me. Uh, and it was a vegan documentary. And I filmed for 2 or 3 days for the vegan documentary. And then the guy was like, "Hey, can you stay a couple more days and start filming and keep filming?" I'm like, "Yeah." What had happened was two different documentaries was trying to contact me at the same time, and I
That's
happened to
funny.
be in New York filming with one documentary. So the Netflix crew showed up because they knew where I was going to be, and I did know I was doing two different documentaries,
That's
but
funny. What was the name of the vegan documentary?
from the ground up.
Oh, okay. No, I've seen stuff on social media about that one. That one is that one out yet? Or that one's still in
No,
the works, right?
still in the works.
Okay, got it.
I never realized how long it takes to get things done. Like they filmed me for like 2.5 years.
That's crazy. For both of them?
Uh, one was about a year, but the
Yeah.
Netflix one was it was so much cooler in my head because uh, like, even if you're going on a run,
Mm-hmm.
you're going with five dudes, and they're
Right.
gonna be in a van with the van door open, filming you run, and like, yeah, we know you're running, but come back and run by this area again because the lighting's good.
You add like 3 miles onto your run because you're going back and forth.
Oh
That's
man,
funny. Well, that kind of adds accountability on your part too. So that, I mean, that might have been super helpful for you, just with your training.
yeah, someone knowing someone's always watching you.
Right.
Yeah, if I run on the street, I run super hard when red lights stop.
Yeah.
Like when red lights stop and all the cars line up.
Right. Everybody's watching you.
Yeah, I'm
That's
like,
when
I can't step
that's when you
out.
quit that walk and you start to run again, right?
Yeah, that's can't have someone say, "Hey, Cam, I saw you running, but you were walking." I was like, it was just that second.
You're right. No, I watched that documentary this weekend for the first time, and I'm extremely appreciative of all athletes and sports that I grew up watching sports and playing them, and what I learned in that documentary though it's really awesome and it's really extreme what you guys do put your bodies through, and I also thought it was really interesting too, just the impact that it does have on communities. But I mean, how boxing is really, I mean, it's going away in a lot of places, in especially in a lot of inner city places where a lot of these kids need it the most, that they're going away. So I don't know if you want to touch on that a little bit,
Yeah,
and what you're doing to help with that, because yeah, it's super interesting to me now after seeing the impact. I want more out there now just because of what I saw.
yeah. The boxing's an inner city sport. It's a poor man's sport, and when you put an activity in the hood, kids gravitate to it because it's free.
Hmm.
And in the gym, you may see kids train for fights, but if you walked into my gym, you would see the kids who are coming in for the first time. There's specific boxers that work with them. So let's say level one boxers work with them, and then the level one boxers have to like get them ready and give them to the level two boxers. Level two boxers give it to level three. Every level is just a more experienced group of boxers,
Hmm.
and it's an unsaid rule, but that's how it goes. It's a gym structure, and at the top, every level has to answer to another level, and all of those kids, because I'm basically the leader in my gym, those kids answer to me, and I answer to the coach, and you have a level of accountability, and it's almost like a family structure. So these kids who a lot of them are single parents, their mom's working 16 hours a day, a lot of times even more. Like these kids are coming home and they don't have anyone telling them, go to bed at a certain time, do this, do that. But you bring these kids in a boxing gym whose their home is empty because their parent is working.
Hmm.
You bring them to a boxing gym, their coach is their dad. Like I
Right.
consider my coach my dad. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, in that documentary, like that's how they referred to it a lot.
yeah. I mean, it gives kids structure. It gives
Hmm.
these young kids structure, and they have to answer to someone. And every kid on the street's tough until they go into the boxing gym because then they're not as secure in their ability to beat everyone up. And it's humbling, and they fall in line and they want to get further up to get respect. And like gangs, you have to do bad things for respect. In our gym, for example, I mean, after a boxing match is over, you stick around, you help with the cheers. That's how you gain respect. And
Yeah, it's awesome.
if you leave the gym and don't help out, the guy that you answer to, you're gonna kind of feel you're gonna kind of feel like you disrespected him. So it's a structure that many people can't see from the outside, but I promise you, it's a real thing, and it's doing so. It does so many great things for boxers. Look at me. I had anxiety. I would never speak to people. I would always slouch my shoulders. I didn't ever want to be seen. I didn't make eye contact with people. But boxing gave me the confidence to do that. I've been to over 20 different countries, and even if these kids aren't good at boxing, it gives them confidence to do whatever they want to do outside of boxing.
Right. I mean, the mindset that you have to get to, because I mean, like you were saying, like it doesn't, boxing, it's a pretty cheap sport. All you need is like a strong work ethic, and I mean, just the will to want to compete. I mean, that's what it comes down to is how hard are you working, and how bad do you want it?
Yeah, it's that competitiveness. You deal with it so much that nothing else really seems difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say that being a speaker isn't hard, but when I made the transition into the speaking world, the speakers are like, "Oh man, we're exhausted." I was like, "From what?" From what I do after I'm done fighting? Like, you give an interview after you're done fighting. You just talk.
Right.
You're exhausted from talking?
That's funny. That's funny. And what do you think about what's your opinion on boxing as a whole right now? Because something that I've heard personally, and I'm not really big into the boxing world, so I don't know what's going on in that realm. But I mean, do you think boxing is decreasing as a sport, or do you think they just need more, like, bigger names to come up? You had the Floyd Mayweathers. Obviously, everybody aspires to that somewhat, but like, do you think it's a dying sport, or do you think it's going to pick up the more? I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Like, do you think it's going to pick up?
So do you know how no one ever anywhere watches soccer?
Right. Well, except other countries, but yeah.
Boxing is huge everywhere else in the world. Like, I can be recognized in Russia, which I hold on to that with pride.
Yeah.
Someone in Russia recognized me.
That's awesome.
No one in my neighborhood Walmart knows who I am. It's just not big here in America because, for one, parents would, like a mom would say, "I'm not going to put my kid in a boxing ring."
Right.
And then she puts him on a football field.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I'm a chiropractor, so the football, that would be a no.
Yeah. But, you get scholarships for these sports,
Right.
and they're in schools. And so kids want to do stuff with their friends in schools. After school, you just, you play your school sport and you get to represent your school. Boxing gyms aren't like that. And, kids are not being able to box enough. And so what I decided to do, because after the documentary came out, a lot of people were messaging me and saying we should. It was $57,000 in New York to put a person through prison for an entire year. It's $50,000 to run a boxing gym for all of the kids for an entire year.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I remember that stat from the movie, and that's insane. And it's crazy that you guys aren't getting enough funding whenever you see stats like that, because it is keeping so many people out of that system.
I looked into it because I wanted to write a blog about it, and I did some reading and was disgusted. It's 70, 100, and I think it's $75,860 to put a person through prison for an entire year in California. Wow. There's 130,000 inmates.
That's crazy. That's so crazy.
Billions of dollars.
Yep. And then a boxing gym, like what's the average amount of people that come to like an average boxing gym that's open?
40 to 50 kids.
Yeah. So, people can do the math.
Yeah, we have very low funding. So what I decided to do is, since people were reaching out and they were asking what could we do to help bring funding to amateur boxing, and saying send money is never going to be a good answer.
No.
Because we do need money.
For most things.
Yeah, for most things.
Yeah.
People want to see where their money's going. So what I decided to do is I put together a workshop. It's just basically a one-man show. I bring everyone into the box. I do it at a boxing gym. So the goal is to do it at a boxing gym to bring awareness to the actual gym and let people see the conditions of the gym. That's part of it, because gyms aren't a lot of them are dirty and broken apart because they don't have funding. So you bring people into the gym for the workshops, and they're already there. They're looking around like, oh, someone should do something about this.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's them. So I do the workshop. I give a speech. I talk about health, proper ways to eat, and then teach everyone how to wrap their hands. I give them a boxing intro course. Then we do a boxing workout, and for everyone who would like to, they get 60 seconds in the ring with me to try to land as many punches as possible.
That's
I
awesome.
don't punch back.
That's probably a good
And
thing.
yeah, I just try to block punches, but I'm not punching back. And then I donate a portion of that money back to the LBC, the local boxing chapters.
That's awesome.
I'm doing it in different cities. Right now, since I'm just starting out, I did my first one in Kansas City 2 weeks ago. I have some fights coming up, so I can't do it until August 5th. But I'll be in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Omaha, and Springfield, Missouri. So I'm keeping it where I can drive and keep costs down.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know if you come do one in Florida, because I can come check it out. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I would like to do one in Fort Pierce, Florida, in the Fort Pierce PAL gym, because without them, I wouldn't have been able to box.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And you mentioned that you do go over some things nutritionally with the boxers, which I think is incredibly important, especially coming from you, because you have that experience, and you know it's different coming from somebody that they look up to and that somebody that's been there. You know, because you're still vegan, right?
Yeah.
So how has that impacted you as an athlete? Because I know there's a lot of misconceptions. I've actually been vegan for almost 2 years now, and it's been amazing for me personally. But you know, I know, especially in your world, you know, you look at somebody like yourself who is incredibly in shape and you know, just an amazing athlete. Most people think, you know, vegan athlete, scrawny. So what's that been like for you? Just, you know, fighting those misconceptions a little bit, and then just the actual effects it's had on your health overall.
Uh, uh, for one, I don't know why. Like where do you get your protein? Of course, you understand. We
Right.
don't even have to talk
That's a
about
big
one.
one. That's a big one.
I've gotten weirdly, and not in a disrespectful way or anything, but someone would find out I'm vegan and like, oh, are you gay?
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, we can connect. Like, it's ridiculous that people would think just because of your diet.
That is.
I've got it multiple times, and not in a, and that's how blind people are to it.
That's
They don't
crazy.
say it
That's
to be
interesting.
disrespectful.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's weird how people will try to correlate things like that together. That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, yeah, but in their head,
Right. So, but how did it help you? Because you said that it's been almost 5 years. So you switched to that type of diet, and then how did it affect you? You know, as a fighter, like energy level, your workouts. Did you notice any significant differences with that besides, you know, losing the weight after that tough period of time?
yeah. One, being sober definitely helped.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Eating clean helped so much. It's inconvenient, but nothing that's good is going to be easy. And part of it was I saw myself having to say no to things, and it instilled so much more discipline in me to the point where I have to meal prep. I have if I know I'm going somewhere for 3 or 4 days,
Mm-hmm.
I drive a lot of places. I bring a cooler in my car with my food because once you start eating clean, then you're like, you know how good it feels that you'll
Right.
deal with the inconvenience, but no one wants to deal with the initial inconvenience to because you don't do it for a week and feel good that week. After you do it for like, it took me 18 to 20 days for my taste buds to change.
To detox
And
out a little bit as well.
oh my God, it was like I was hungover for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, granted, probably because I was like, yeah, it was a bad time, but like feeling that detox, I'm like, whatever's in me's got to be bad for it to hurt
Right.
this much to come out. But after I've gone through that period, I feel amazing. I can manipulate my weight pretty easily. I can move up in weight, move down. It's not an issue.
Yeah. And yeah, it definitely, like the inconvenience factor is just, you know, just being able to meal prep. But at the same time, I know for myself, like I realize how, even though prepping can be inconvenient, it's still not as hard as you think. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not hard to find alternatives, or like to ask for something else in a restaurant, or to like switch things up, because everybody's, I mean, they're more accommodating than you think.
Yeah, and I've gone to restaurants where even if they don't have something vegan, the chef's like, "Oh, can I make something for you?"
Right.
Because they're sick of making the same things on the menu, and they're just happy to make something new.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
I can what I've tried to prove to someone. I was like, I can leave my house, run to the grocery store, come back, meal prep for 7 days in 90 minutes, and have everything cleaned
That's
and put
impressive.
away. I like because I've done it so much. I
Yeah.
can do it with my eyes closed, which is probably not a safe way to cook, but
Right. That is impressive. That's cool. Yeah. So what do you have? What do you have going on in the near future? I know you have more workshops coming up, which is awesome. But do you have anything else that you want to like share with people that you're gearing up for?
yeah, fighting the Ringside World Championships. They start tomorrow. Today's just registrations. They're going to be in Independence, Missouri.
Cool.
It's the world's biggest amateur boxing tournament, and it's 6 boxing rings going on at the same time. There's over 1,500 athletes, and it's just mayhem. It's so crazy because there's kids from I think it's like 8 years old to last year we had guys in their 70s fighting.
Wow. That's
Which
cool.
those are guys who start or who's just starting. Who's 70 years old? Is like, you know what? I'm going to start boxing.
Well, it's like that I don't know if you've seen like different like memes on social media, but like the 80-year-old woman that does CrossFit now, and she's like ripped. Like it's
Y-
crazy. It's so awesome though. I love it.
Yeah, and then it's like, what's my excuse then?
Right. Right. No,
God,
exactly. Hey,
I,
hey, Cam, do you want to touch on a little bit why? Because I didn't know this until I watched the documentary, but why that you've decided to keep your amateur status? Because a lot of people have this thought of if you're the best, then you go pro. But there's different. It's different with boxing because there's different rules. There's different things you can and cannot do. So if you want to like touch on the main difference with that and why you've decided to keep that status for yourself.
the main difference is one of them you get paid, the other you don't. But
Yeah.
I get to I get to represent America, and I take pride in that.
Right. Because you can't, for people listening, you can't technically be a professional and represent the United States in an Olympic setting. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, you lose your Olympic eligibility
Okay.
if you were to sign pro. And I have well over 300 fights, and a guy I have 300 fights as an amateur,
Hmm.
which to people like, oh, that doesn't count, and they'll say, well, my friend is 1-0 as a professional,
Yep.
and I'm like, yeah, I beat that dude in the amateurs, and because he can't win, he turned professional. You don't have to. It's not like the NBA to go pro. You just sign a piece of paper to be a professional amateur boxer.
That's interesting. And I know like that undefeated status means so much.
It means so much, but it means nothing.
It's crazy how, like you're saying, it means nothing, but like people will switch just so they can have that undefeated record
Yeah,
just for like looks, right? It's just for publicity.
yeah, and looks and money.
Yeah.
So if you basically the setup is, let's say you turn pro, you fight in small little areas and what just little club shows and little memorial
That I
halls and
know I
different
can
cities.
win, basically.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you don't get paid much because you're basically paying your opponent to
Right.
lose because you find someone very inexperienced. And then after you knocked out a bunch of people in your area, then you go to like the regional area and you do that and you build a fan base. And people are like, oh, she knocks someone out in every city. I mean, oh, I know her. And then once you build a fan base, then you get some TV coverage.
Hmm.
And then that takes about 4 years to do, 4 to 5 years. And then you're like a 20-0 pro. Granted, you still have fought no one
Right.
and you've made no money. Now you get to fight on TV and you'll make money if you win those fights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
That's crazy. It's kind of a crazy system.
yeah. I don't want to go through all that. What I want to do is I want to revitalize USA boxing, and I want people to see boxing in a positive light again. So I'm just going to stick around the amateurs and take an active role in amateur boxing, and not just as a fighter, but on the board of directors. I'm the athlete rep, and
That's awesome.
I'm on the board of directors for Golden Gloves, and just I feel like I would be better for I could it would be better for me to stay around and make the system better
Hmm. No, I agree. I think you're an amazing role model to do that job. And I think that it's super important just to get people excited, like you were saying, just to get people excited about the sport again and to be excited to be an Olympic boxer. And I think if you could, amplify that up to make it exciting again, I mean, the difference that would make, and especially in, communities in these inner cities, I mean, it would be life changing.
Yeah. Yeah. It changed my life. And it's not that difficult to do. Just have these gyms open. And the boxing part is not the important part, the accountability part of those athletes. So like just having the gym open and having those kids just go through the process and know that no one's looking before school. I mean, you can eat whatever you want. No one will see.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go running. You can just say you go running. No one will know. But then when it's like working out and time to spar or fight, you're like, oh, I'm going to get exposed. I'm going to get beat up. So these kids learn personal about accountability.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love it.
And once you fight, you don't have to. Once you know how to fight, you don't have to.
Just having that skill set.
Yeah, and you take a kid who's getting into fights in 6th grade, and you put him in the boxing gym. Now that he's a boxer, no one's going to ever want to fight him because he's a boxer, whether he's good or not.
Right.
And he thinks he's good, so he doesn't have to prove his toughness.
Do you think it gets a lot of the aggression out as well, or do you think it's mainly a mindset of you don't have to prove it?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. And if one of my boxers comes into the gym and I know he got in a fight in school or something, he's going to have to answer to me.
Right. No, it's amazing. Yeah, the accountability is so crucial.
Yeah. It's a great program, and they're falling apart throughout the country. Well, hopefully I can change that.
Yeah, no, and I think you can, and I'm excited to watch your journey as you do that. And Cam, what's the best way for people to follow you on social media and your website, and like the best way to contact you if they do want to get more involved with saving these gyms or maybe even starting a gym? So like, what would be the best way for people to contact you, follow you, all of that?
They can find me at celebritysportsspeaker.com, or you can find me at CamFAwesome, CamFAWESOME, on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and everything else these young kids are using nowadays.
Gotcha. Cool. And then one closing question that I ask every guest. If you could give the audience just one piece of advice, maybe it's something you've learned along your journey as an athlete or just evolving as a person, but if you can just give the audience one piece of advice, what would it be?
If you can fail without being discouraged, success becomes inevitable.
I love it. That's awesome. Cam, thank you so much for coming on. I loved having you. I'm excited to watch your journey, and I know you're going to do amazing things. And good luck with your fights this weekend.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Cam. He's really an amazing guy. I love his energy, and I love all of the work that he's doing. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow him on social media. That way you can keep up with all of the amazing things that he's doing. You can also go to my website at drcaseyjohnson.com. That's DRKASEY Johnson.com. And if you click on the Listen tab, you'll be able to check out the podcast, and it's going to have every podcast guest that has come on, more information about them. That way you can click on the different social media sites that he talked about on the show, and you can really check out everything that he has going on. So be sure to check him out there. And also, if you enjoyed today's episode with Cam, if you can hop on iTunes, write a review, and subscribe, that really helps me out a lot. And thank you so much. I appreciate all of the support, and thank you for listening.